I love being Jewish the way that a fish loves being in water. It just surrounds me.
Our story is one of resilience. We're worth taking seriously.
Growing up Jewish often feels like a contradiction. I remember one Friday night service I went to at my temple. My rabbi stood on the bima, the raised platform at the front of the prayer hall, and began to lead us. The room was packed with people. Voices and song were wrapped around me. It was a stunning example of community and faith. But the congregants that surrounded me were dressed in black. They were mourning and scared. There was tension in the air. A few days before, on October 27th, 2018, the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh was targeted by violent anti-Semitism, resulting in 11 casualties and a new reality for Jews in America. Temples around the world held services similar to this. When Jews were targeted at the very place we worship, we did not scatter or hide. We sang louder. For the first few years of my life, being Jewish meant pure bliss. I attended preschool at my temple, where they gave me milk and challah every day for snack, and I had unlimited access to all the toys I could ever want. But the best part was that every Friday, our parents could come into school for Shabbat services, where I would sing and dance and run up the aisles, jumping onto my dad's back and spinning around, laughing my head off. My Jewish identity became a safe haven for me. As I grew up and began to have more and more questions about my identity and where I fit in, I knew I could always find a place at my temple. When I came out to my parents as gay a few years ago, I never worried if I could be comfortable in my temple again. It was where I had learned to dance and sing and pray and unapologetically embrace who I was. The modern Jewish identity is far too wide for me to try to completely understand or explain, so I'll just tell you about mine. My name is Joey Panner. I'm a 16-year-old Reformed Jewish girl growing up just outside of Washington, D.C. Being Jewish is a massive part of my identity. Even though I eat pork, I don't keep kosher, and my knowledge of Jewish rituals is average at best. This is something really cool about my experience being Jewish. We're flexible. For my bat mitzvah speech, I passionately spoke up in front of my rabbi about how I didn't believe in God, but still felt deeply Jewish somehow. Judaism is a constantly evolving religion. I talked to Rabbi Dina Schaefer, the Director of Learning and Engagement for the Jewish Teen Education and Engagement Funder Collaborative, and Rabbi Ron Simmons, who is the Director of Jewish Life and the Center for Loving Kindness for the JCC of Greater Pittsburgh, who were able to expand on this concept for me.
Your generation, I think it's something around 60% of young people up to age 26 who identify as not religious do identify as spiritual, right? And that's very powerful. Your Jewish identity probably looks very different than my Jewish identity, and certainly very different than my grandparents' Jewish identity. And then I like to think, well, what are the things that my grandchildren are going to do that I could never imagine? And that's the nature of our people.
Judaism has changed over the course of history. We used to be an ancient sacrificial cult. On Passover, you would bring your lamb to Jerusalem, right? Or you would buy it in Jerusalem. You would hand it to the priest. The priest would slaughter it. That is not the way that we celebrate Passover today. We bring in every aspect of freedom that we're yearning for in our world that could not have been imagined way back when because the details weren't known, but that the template is there for us to say that that moment when we walked through the sea, whether you believe it as literal or metaphorical, is a template for how it is that we will walk through every other sea that is in our way.
Rabbi Ron is right. The Jewish people have had to walk through many seas. For anyone who wants to learn about Jewish history, prepare for quite a few stories of massacre and expulsions. It's not a light topic. Although the anti-Semitism we see today is less systematic, it is not any less dangerous. I've been raised in the age of media, which means I've been exposed to a lot of inflammatory content. I've seen countless comments calling for Jews to be put back in the ovens. I've seen my own peers repost Instagram infographics claiming that the Rothschilds, a wealthy Jewish family, are fueling the Israeli-Palestinian conflict for profit. The stereotypes of Jews that were born thousands of years ago have not died. They may live in the shadows of comment sections and Facebook posts for now, occasionally baring their teeth in shocking violent attacks of Jewish communities. But anti-Semitism has only been on the rise in recent years. My mom worries about me wearing my Star of David necklace in public. Police officers guard the doors of my synagogue with weapons and metal detectors. And I am tired of sitting with my family, knowing that we had loved ones who were imprisoned and never heard from again during the Holocaust. And yet we still have to worry about the danger of those same old, stomach-turning stereotypes. I actually just celebrated Purim with my family. The holiday commemorates the defeat of Haman, a man who plotted to kill all of the Jews until he was stopped by the Honorable Queen Esther. We observe the holiday by putting on comedic interpretations of the story and eating 2 sweet cookies. This holiday, although definitely not the most reflective on the Jewish calendar, has always shown me that there will be lots of people in the world who want to tear us down, to eliminate us. But our job is to be better than them, to laugh in the faces of our tormentors. Just like that one Friday night service showed, Jewish identity is filled with inconsistencies and elements that simultaneously contradict each other. But that is what makes it beautiful. I've always seen Judaism as an ebbing and flowing river, brimming with rocks and sticks and white water twisting through the landscape of time. So no, one 3 to 8 minute student podcast recorded on my iPhone can't tell the world what it means to be a kid in America growing up Jewish, but I believe that hatred stems from ignorance, and I hope this podcast will put the first band-aid on the bullet hole that is anti-Semitism.